before, but now, apparently, it actually just kills you in one shot. And I'm like, oh, okay, I shouldn't stand in that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience. We're getting into it. Game number 2 here. Method goes up against Fnatic with Method currently leading 1-0.
All right, now where do the Maiev and Tracer bans lie? Do we again see Method ban Maiev? They have so far this tournament not ever changed, deviated from that, but then that allows Fnatic to ban the Tracer. Method can play Maiev. They played it in part 2, but the problem is it requires a Thero to switch over to Maiev. At least that's how it was in part 2, and then Schwimpy has to play the solo.
And I think there's even more interesting, kind of situation here, because I do believe it was Fnatic who was the team going up against Gen G was willing to ban out the Maiev over the Tracer in this type of circumstance, and then in the 2-3 see the task-based rotation that's very, very difficult. So I would argue this is very much a Tracer map. It caters very much to that. So if I'm Method, I give the call out. I wouldn't have banned that, because then it kind of caters to a Maiev ban on their side. I was going to say, because they cannot play the Tracer, be able to risk that through. So already interesting decision making, but I think out of any team at this tournament, if I go, they've got something in store, it's got to be Method.
The Maiev being banned out anyway, like I said, being banned against them. They haven't actually played it at all this tournament, Method. So unsurprising that Fnatic will ban it out. It's very much an unknown entity there. And of course, it is one of the scariest heroes in the game, especially when you're all clumped up for those control point fights.
Is it Garrosh first pick again for Method here, or is the Malfurion far too powerful? Curson before seems like it's not as much of a concern, as much of a problem. There is a strange smirk happening on the face.
No reason.
All right.
Okay.
No reason.
Yeah, suspicious? I think so. But either way, Malfurion, he has been the go-to for most teams, and taking it away from Smexy is a pretty solid idea here, but it does mean there are still plenty of solid supports left open at the start here. But as you can see, Malfurion has been in a huge amount of the games and has won a fairly significant chunk of them.
I would say in the world of, Decker Kane with his implementation, this is one of the battlegrounds that he should be able to stand out on, not only for his early game crowd control, some of the talent opportunities he has both at 1 and 4 can really kind of cater to the healing, and then, nobody has to talk about the fact that you're going to be standing around a point forever. There's going to be a lot of potions on the ground to pick up here.
Bottomless Flask, not too bad.
Get the Chromie Johanna rotation.
The Chromie a second time. We were unsure about it in the first game. And
I have a question to pose for you, and it's something that we were talking about last night, Dread, which was Mena's hero pool is something of a limiting factor to a certain degree sometimes. Is this them saying, okay, we really want him on Chromie so that he has one of his arguably strongest potential positions when it comes to an overall draft?
Yeah, just because the idea of, Mene always plays the mage, right? And so where the priority has to come online. I would say in this case, no. But that is only because Johanna Chromie is what Europe loves to do in a 1-2 on any map with the kind of wave player. I will say, I question whether or not this is going to be one of those moments where they'll get as much out of that combo. But again, this is not like it's a Fnatic only kind of priority. This is multiple teams within the European region willing to pack that punch in the 1-2.
Garrosh completely ignored by both teams, going in favor of the Muradin instead. Method not comfortable running that Garrosh into the Johanna, who has consistently been used throughout the tournament as sort of a thwart to the plans of the Orc.
As we saw in the last game too, Arcaner took a bunch of poke damage that made it harder for him to get into position for combos. And though they did eventually find the right combos to start getting kills and snowball the map, it's a concern on Volskaya when you need to be able to sustain around those control points. Here, Muradin offers an escape with Dwarf Toss, still some crowd control engagement, starting off with the Storm Bolt, and importantly, has his second win to heal himself back up. Okay.
That had to do with the smirk, like somewhere down the line, because that is
just no reason.
Pretty wild.
They were expecting something. Sergeant Hammer has appeared several times in our group stage now, and as you can see, it's actually won the majority of the games it's been in.
But just by Gen G, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Just Gen G carrying the hammer.
Gen G also, way back, one of the few flex picks they would have against teams they were confident was still Sergeant Hammer. That has been in their arsenal as like a we're better than you pick for a hot while. So I'm not surprised to see that kind of come back to life here with the dominance they have displayed, but I didn't think we would see it in the circumstance, even more so with the Chromie. She's already very susceptible to that kind of dive. Sergeant Hammer on top of that feels like that is overall, in my mind, weak composition, but again, I feel like there's got to be a bit more here to the tail of this draft.
Reason Sergeant Hammer, very vulnerable to dive, very immobile, but on the other hand, she did have the option of siege tactics, which we did see Rich using to great effect to really prevent the kind of dive potential.
Yes.
Instead, though, the Genji, nice and standard here, the Chromie Genji. Last time we spoke about it, we were a little unsure, and then it absolutely wrecked. And the Deckard Kane, as we already mentioned, fantastic on this map. So many opportunities to set up, and so many grouped up opportunities for all of that CC.
We're looking for the backline picks now for Schwimpy. Likely, unless there's some sort of role swap that comes in for these last things, but almost certainly Schwimpy and Nick as these final 2 picks. Hanzo's still up. They want some sort of poke from him that he gives. Also, of course, the setup that he gives worked out very well last game.
Elsa's still available as well, so is Li Ming. So
I mean, what do you think about Jaina again?
Jaina or even a Hanzo, and then I wouldn't mind going with another melee and dropping the Thrall in this rotation.
Yeah.
I actually think against the squishy backliners that we see of Fnatic, and multiple flanks are very, very, great to have against Deckard. Greatly increases your probability of winning a fight. We do get the Thrall, but a Phoenix instead of the Hanzo there.
Ooh, Salvo Earthquake is pretty potent.
Pretty good combo, especially against the fairly immobile Chromie and fairly immobile Deckard. Genji, on the other hand, going to have a slightly easier time, but he's going to have to hold his deflect if he wants to really get around that.
I wonder if we'll see any adjustment at 13. It's likely that he could build into, or he can build into spell armor as long as he has his shield capacitor up, but you generally never see it. But as a way of trying to help out with the Chromie damage,
I can see it. So that you at least have some of your shield initially.
Offlane is the last pick here for Fnatic.
Yeah.
What is Benny going to find himself on? Dahaka would be the first thought that a lot of teams kind of go, especially out of the European region. If not, I don't hate the idea because Blaze is off the table. When you have Deckard, you need another pause button in a fight to be able to keep him alive. Maybe something like a risky triple,
I'm scared for a Dahaka against that match CC.
Stitches! That is a tanky front line.
Oh, hold on there.
Yeah. So Stitches, this is their first Stitches of the tournament. One of the first Stitches of the tournament, in fact, total. But
it's a front line you can't cross.
It is.
Richard Vile, Johanna, and then all of the control that Deckard gives.
And I suppose since you've got Johanna as well, you have a fully justified slam build, so you can actually dish out more damage. It's very deceptive damage, right? You actually are doing far more than a tank would normally doing in that situation. Admittedly, we see solo Stitches slam build sometimes, but for my mind, it doesn't really pack as much punch, and you just die, and then it's like a sad time. Right?
But with this, there is very much the onus of taking all of that damage is off him here. Johanna is here for him. Adds a lot of consistent CC. The fact is, if they are able to keep that team communication, hooking people into Chromie combos sounds like a pretty marvelous strat.
Time for predictions.
Last game I voted on history and not so much drafting, so this time I'm going to change my mind and go with who I think won on the draft.
Okay.
And I'm going to have to fall on the side of method, purely based on, even though I do think there's a great amount of appeal, to be honest, I'm not convinced on the Chromie at the rate, especially with the Deckard pairing, as we see a lot of teams have here.
I'm always a fan of Earthquake and Purification Salvo, so my vote will definitely be for Method here.
You know what? I want to play. I'm going with Fnatic here. I think the Stitches could be exactly what they need to try and turn this around.
And I'm going for Method, sticking with my guns. I think that they've got a good draft, and I'll leave it at that. I'm just the host. So there you go. Let's see what Twitch chat thinks with the hashtags as well. No, baby. That's a lie. Oh, it changed. Okay, that's fine. 51%, 49. So close. 50-50. Can I get 49?
I don't blame chat for going that close, considering the last game.
Yeah, well, yeah. It was very down to the wire. Let's check in with the commentators that will be bringing you this game again. Gentlemen, as 50-50, what do you think?
Yeah. Fine.
All right.
Go to game number 2. After game number 1, how can it not be 50-50, Calaris?
Yes, yeah, I can
The
accept
draft
that.
still worries me a little bit. I actually expected a Thrall on the side of Fnatic at the last pick before it was taken away, so...
All right, gentlemen, well, have fun with game number 2.
Well, we will as we go into game number 2. Stitches is here to play, and you know what? I'm down to let him play, man. I want to see Stitches come in here and get those wave clears. We've actually had Bad Benny be in the side lane before as a Stitches a long time ago. I think it was like week 4 in league play. So it's not something that he is too afraid to play.
I mean, let's face it, at this point he's also on the main tank, so that's good for him. But as we start our game, where we have with a 1-0 lead in the best of 5 towards the left side. Kirsten on Malfurion, Arcana on Murden, Blaze played by Ethereal Angel, Nick on Phoenix, and Schwimpy on Thrall. Team Method!
On the right, Mane playing Chromie, Breeze on Johannes, Mexi on Deckard, Quacknix on Genji, and Bad Benny to play Stitches. It is Fnatic!
It's definitely going to be a really interesting game here. Fnatic is willing to go into an early Chromie, and the priority is mainly explained through them always denying Maiev whenever they are trying to play the Chromie style. But this time, compared to the last game, Method is at least able to sneak Murden in. And we talked a lot about how Murden in Europe is by now a hero that is extremely popular in just completely shutting Chromie down. Whenever she's trying to use a combo, Murden jumps in and hits the Stormbolt, and that's something that Arcana is going to be looking for.
Bad Benny already lands some hooks, though. Gotta say, I love the slam build. The analysts talked about it a little bit, but it really comes together at level 7. But the issue is, Bad Benny needs to be careful not to be engaged upon, because Stitches is not like being engaged upon, and it looks like he's going to be early as Method comes in, lands out a combo, and gets a kill, but Arcaner attempting to escape, and he gets away.
Also, Nick just barely moving out there. I mean, the damage wasn't enough to body him there, but if I play against Arcana, I'm just frustrated at this point. It's actually crazy how this guy just started playing tank this year, and all of a sudden, he's just so good. He knows exactly where the limit is. They move in, they drop Benny, which has become a bit of a theme, and at the same time now, the turnaround attempt against Arcana failing. Murden gets away, Nick also not falling. Fnatic still able to take their own camp. That's the most important part. We're still early in the game, so the kill itself doesn't have too much value yet.
Item control. It's what this map is all about. We'll always talk about it as we head this battleground due to how important it is. Breeze even thinking about missing some wave clear in the middle if Method were to go in for an engage, but Method decides not to force a fight. Smexy immediately grabbing that turret right away, and we'll watch as this map unfolds. Now, back to Stitches here in his slam build that we see. It usually comes online around level 7 whenever you get that damage ramped up with the talent pick that you move into. So expect for him to play a little bit safer here, work on wave clear a little bit, and then just hit some hooks here and there around the control point.
Yeah, especially later on when it comes to level 16, that comes online very easily with that added slow, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, right now with the setup that we're seeing, Thrall, of course, with the Echo of Elements, and that's one of those jobs of Stitches a bit to try and slow that down for as long as possible. Once that we have Echo of Elements completed, Thrall is just going to start poking away against heroes. In an ideal world, around the first objective, you are able to deny it for Thrall so that he can't just simply use that while the first objective is active. Depends very much on how fast he is. We've seen a lot of Thrall players completing that quest around minute 3 to minute 4. But let's find out if Schwimpy can actually pull them.
Schwimpy's actually kind of killing it right now when it comes to that. He's currently sitting at a total of 16 of the 20 seconds that he needs to finish that off. So he's doing pretty well, and it seems like Stitch is having a hard time of slowing that down, which means he should have that for the control point, or at least the middle of it.
I mean, one of the big tricks of what you can do is, when you see that a minion is so low that Thrall is tempted to take it down, 3 minutes in, he completes it. But one of the tricks is that you just stand on that minion to make sure that there's no target for the opponent's Thrall. The problem is, it forces you also to move into the lane. So if there's a lot of rotations happening, that makes it very dangerous for you, and that's one of the reasons why a player would be tempted to play it a bit more passive.
And Arcana's been bringing those rotations down, sort of molting as much as he can, so Stitches has had a hard time, but Method will be able to grab the control point, and they get the full duration, so that means they are jumping up in percent here as they jump up to 22 already to the 0 of Fnatic. Fnatic continues to siege away, and I'm actually keeping an eye on Mane, because I feel like in the last game, he had a really hard time finishing his quest. To be fair, he was playing against a Genji, and he was having a hard time really landing those shots. But right now, he has 11 of the 60 stacks he needs to finish off that Echo.
Yeah, and also we are seeing, once again, Method is just like taking control of the space here and pushing the opponent back. And another thing I want to highlight quickly is we've been talking a lot about Malfurion's level 4 talents and the adjustment that we saw made in previous games for the deep roots. At this point, we're actually seeing the Strangling Minds taken, so even more so for one-shot potential. Talking about poking opponents down, Schwimpy at this point losing quite a bit of hit points as Quacknix dove into the back line, but Kirsten has his back immediately.
That's right, Kirsten keep him nice and alive. Nick taking a little bit of pressure, but he can regenerate those shields if he wants to kite back at any point. With the turret being down, Method continues to hold down the control area, 99-0, and they're just trying to get Fnatic off the point. Bad Benny gets jived upon on your top left, but Quackness comes in. There comes a triangle, though, as Quackness gets rooted.
Schwimpy was really low, though, and Ethereal also has only a few hit points left. Both of them moving back here really quickly, and the Frostworld Brazilians keeping Schwimpy actually in the fight. Arcane is low as well, though. Curson gets hooked, but they can't confirm the kill. They're going for Nick, and they finally get it. Here comes the kill as Mena goes in with Chromie, gets the kill, but immediately Schwimpy responds in kind and takes down Johanna.
Bad Benny trying to get some healing here, going straight over to the potion. Needs to get on top of this point if he can, but Method is able to grab it to the potion, actually going to the top left corner, and Method will be looking to use his protector to break down these turret walls and jump up in experience.
Now, one of the reasons why we had Chromie actually appear on the map again was played and came back into the meta on this particular map around the Western Clash was back then AD already saying that against the protector he can get a ton of stacks, and then towards the late game that Chromie damage would just absolutely ramp up and would allow him to get even more kills in. Now granted, ADRD's build is a bit different, so his playstyle changes. He's playing more around the time traps and therefore is trying to get this amount of sandblasts in. But Mena at this point still has a couple of free stacks against the Protector that will help him to complete that quest, where rightly so, you said earlier, he struggled to complete that in game number 1.
Yeah, Mena sticking with the typical Chromia build, looking to just grab a little bit of damage for team fights. Stitches gets picked off though, as Blaze and Phoenix are able to grab him in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, Mena continues to work on his stacks here and clears out this Protector. Arcaner and Curson come out while Quackness tries to put some pressure on Curson, but looks like with some decent peeling, Arcaner getting in the way, there will not be another kill here for Fnatic.
A very early level 10 for Method. They have the heroics now, and of course Fnatic at this point, again, just has to sit tight. There's always the potential of Method just simply saying, hey, we dive behind that fort and we try to look for the kill. So right now, it's a very uncomfortable spot for Fnatic where they see that their camp is contested, but they can't really do anything out of it outside of trying to get a hot hook on a target, and they get a Thera to blow him up. They take him down. Mena and Deckard get the kill even without the heroics.
Much better Chroma game so far here from Mena, and Schwimpy will be the next target as Fnatic continues to try to fight this 9.5 to 10. They keep poking away like crazy. Breeze coming forward to condemn. Another hook comes out, and Bad Benny and crew will focus Schwimpy, and that's gonna be 2.
Who needs heroics? Fnatic goes in and gets the double kill. That's a fair chunk of XP, and that helps him with a lot of the map control here now as well. Just about to get their level 10, and Fnatic with the move for the healing pulse, for the biotic emitters, going straight in, trying to take that item control. As we said before, it's going to be crucial for the next objective.
Now I'm wondering, do we get Putrid Bile here, or do we get the Gorge? With the Gorge, you have a similar possibility of if you had a VP, right? With Stay a While and Listen, you can grab a Gorge, pull somebody back, and if anyone tries to engage and stop that Gorge, Deck or Kane can drop the Stay a While and Listen, and they can pick off a target.
Now, my money is really on Bile here. I think Gorge is great, but if Fnatic plays Gorge, they usually try to go for a better isolation than you can achieve with Stay a While and Listen. Normally, we have that Gustin. Both are definitely possible, but if I was a betting man, I would put my money on Bile in this case, trying to control the objective a bit more.
All right, let's bet. I have $3. Do you have $3?
Okay, I'm in.
I'm going with the Gorge here, and we'll see if they can get that picked up here. So far, Bad Benny has actually been landing some pretty decent hooks in this matchup, and I wouldn't mind if he went that route. For now, he continues to hold on to his level 10, looking over to the opposing team, though. They have Twilight Dream picked up from Malfurion, and of course, that Solvo that we talked about earlier.
The one thing that is also really important to note here is that the next objective, of course, spawns topside. And the one thing that Method has failed to do with the first Protector is take down the top well. So there's currently still that fallback option for Fnatic. But as I talk about it, Method is actually starting to go in, and they will try to snipe that well. And there it is. Great move by Method that will make it much more difficult for Fnatic to sustain themselves through a team fight for objective number 2.
Method, meanwhile, rotates to the middle lane, start working on that level 13. Want to grab that as soon as they can before the control point, while Fnatic wants to force a fight. You owe me $3, by the way, as Bad Benny locks in the Gorge.
Should have been Bile.
We'll see if Benny can hit these hooks, because now, obviously, it does come down to Bad Benny now. He has to force these fights, he has to get this isolation, and there needs to be a follow-up from Deckard Kane.
Now, with the isolation, the one thing, it doesn't even have to be necessarily Deckard. He's one of the tools they have, but I guess depending on where the hook hits, you can also use Chromie Sandblast.
That's true.
And there's a couple of tools they can use around it. Now, personally, I would have liked Bile more because I feel a lot of these fights are going to take place around the objective. And normally when you're going for Gorge, which we see, by the way, down here, nice lockdown and immediate burst damage. Good kill against the Thero. That was absolutely fantastic. There's the Gorge value for you right there. But on the other hand, Bile has its value is if you fight over the objective. And now if they really play around Gorge, they have to move away from the objective. But in this case, it works out really nicely for them. And of course, as the game progresses, the death timers are going to be higher. So if they get these isolation kills, they're going to be great for them to gain map control.
Smexy even used the stay wireless there. I don't think he had to use it there, but it is on cooldown for a total of 45 seconds. Fnatic with their one-person advantage in a 5v4 go ahead and grab the top point there, as there's 44% already for Method, but Method will take the time to rotate down the turrets and try to take them away.
It's actually a smart move by Method here. And I actually even didn't mind how Fnatic tried to use a lot of resources to make that kill happen. Yeah, hook potential, and there it is. Oh, but not enough space, and Shrimpy is not hooked over the wall. But I really like how Deckard is setting a lot of these hooks up in Chromie too. So it's a really smart interaction that I didn't even think about to that extent once that the draft came into play. But now with Deckard getting a root, Stitches can just always go in and land that hook, especially with Chromie. Following it up with a subclass.
Even the slow by itself, both between Chromie and Deckard here, and that's going to get better for Stitches when he can put it off his own slows eventually here when level 16 comes in. So Fnatic's looking pretty good with their composition, but the story is Method still has a lead in experience, and they're looking to control this top control point as they put all 5 up here to the top left. Bad Benny lurks in the corner here, looking for another hook soon.
Definitely a lot of cool in action here, and he gets the hook, he gets the Gorge, and the Stormbolt misses. Arcana misses the Stormbolt, the zoning is already starting. Stay a while and listen, the bunker comes down though, but this is still an annoying situation for Blaze, and he's about to fall, but the counter kill against Deckard comes in first. A 1-for-1 trade, and a 2-for-1 as Phoenix moves in and takes down Reese.
Chromie keeps sieging away, but there's no opportunity for it to hit anyone, and Method able to find a fight underneath the fort of Fnatic and actually win it as they grab 2 kills, and they'll turn their attention fully over to the control point.
That's one of the big problems when you go up against the bunker. If you hit Blaze, that's great, and if you can isolate him, that is of course fantastic. The problem is he can keep himself alive long enough for the rest of the team to move in and help out.
Fnatic coming here from the side, gonna try and protect their fort as they have to wait for all 5 members to be up before they even look to contest and control point, but Method continues to tick on up. 91% to 99, and it looks like Fnatic will not even have a chance to fight over this protector. Instead, they'll grab a consolation prize of the Merc camp and look to defend.
In HGC history, Method has never won an entire series against Fnatic, and now they are trying to change this here at the Mid-Season Brawl. And they have the second protector in game number 2. They are already leading with a 1-0, and they're trying to make that a 2-0, with them now aiming for level 16 and starting to use the protector to make exactly that happen. Jump straight on the fort in the mid lane, gonna try and take that down, and that should be enough to give them the next talent.
Easy clear up there. Level 16 does connect. As a quick update for you guys at home, Chromie right now sitting on a total of 37 stacks, so a little bit faster than the last game, but still pretty slow for a majority of Chroming players. We'll see if Mene is able to finish that off before this game does finish. This Method continues to step forward. They're going to easily take down the 3rd fort, and they have some time here, a good 35 seconds where they can move towards the keep wall.
Yeah, the way a lot of these fights have been going was not really good for Chromie to get these stacks. Nice bunker play by Ethereal. This time just dodging the hook. And that is exactly what they need to do here. Dodge the hook, drop the bunker. Even if you get hooked in, just survive long enough for your team to come through and help you out.
And they continuing to siege away. And the protector will back up as it's getting low on health here, and also the duration is about to expire. They can go ahead and start to focus on items once again, which is again the name of the game as you head into the late game on that control point that will be spawning on the bottom side. On the other hand, Fnatic, they want to get 16 or find a pick here. And they're actually sharking around the protector. They want to try and grab it off of it. They actually get cursed, and there's going to be a Gorge.
And that's the hook that they really needed. That's the one against Malfurion. It doesn't get any better than that. He wants to get the silence off, but he can't, and he goes down. Nice kill for Fnatic. And that was such an important kill here. And it was the perfect hook as well. Hitting Malfurion here was gold.
And Breeze with a Blessed Shield into a Condemn to make sure that Ice Block didn't come in from Malfurion, so he could have maybe survived and Method could have jumped in and protected him. Fnatic now hit level 16 and invade into a turret.
Not only that Ice Block, if he gets the Twilight Dream off, it turns into a disaster.
Unfortunate there for Method, but great opportunity for Fnatic as they continue to stay in here with experience. This time they're not down 2 keep, so they can actually hold on to this late game.
So what did that kill actually mean? That kill means that they, first of all, get level 16 in the talent, and they could invade the opponent's camp, take the turret, and now grab their own. Since this is a lot about item control, once the objective spawns, you really want to hold as many as possible, since it gives you that advantageous position over the objective itself. And Method already holds on to several. They have the Biotic Emitter, the Healing Pulse, and they also have a turret too. So now Fnatic is starting to play a bit of a catch-up game in items. They have the 16. They're dropping the Oh, they actually even go for the fishing hook here. So even with the slam
Wow.
build, just putting a lot of emphasis into these hooks.
Really playing on top of these hooks and trying to find these picks. They feel like that is the way to earn a victory here. And they'll have an opportunity to do it again, too, with them having both the shield back up as well as the Gorge and stay a while. Listen, it's all about finding the opportunity, but they need vision.
Yeah, Chromie provides that vision. That's what we're seeing here the entire time. She provides the vision on the objective and then tries to open up the opportunity for Benny to get that hook. And Method has, of course, caught on to that. So they are just trying to keep targets in the front that are able to survive. Muradin, he can hop away, he can pop Avatar. We have Blaze, we've seen that several times now, how he drops that bunker. And even to an extent, if he's fast enough, Thrall, but that is going to get a bit more iffy. But if they can make sure that only a good target is getting hooked, they have a good chance of survival, and this time it's Muradin.
There it is. Stay a while. Listen to keep Shrimpy back. Arcaner gets focused down, but he pops the Avatar and he charges forward.
Breeze screwed the Blessed Shield up. He didn't hit it, and that's a big problem. He could immediately use all of his abilities here. With Breeze using the Blessed Shield too early, that's not a kill, and all of a sudden we see Fnatic on the retreat.
Bunker comes out, but Method takes some damage on the back as Chromie continues to siege away. Breeze is one to chase here, one to move in with a condemn, but he just can't get in range as Nick is able to teleport away.
It was actually a good opportunity for Fnatic, but again, with Johanna not connecting with the Blessed Shield, Muradin could simply pop the Avatar, and once that starts, you have such a tough time of taking him down, especially with Stone Form on level 16. That was an easy survivable match for Muradin here, and then of course Fnatic had to realize, guys, we need to move back from this.
The good news is that the heroics layer over to be an actual advantage here for Fnatic. With Gorge about to be up in 5 seconds, that Blessed Shield up in 10, they'll have a good 20 to 30 second window where all the heroics, or at least some for Method, will be down. So Fnatic can look for that prime opportunity to find another pick, and they're already doing so.
Yeah, the cooldown trades are definitely good for them. There's no doubt about that. From a cooldown perspective, trading resources here is working in Fnatic's favor. Here comes again the Bionic Emitter. Already Arcana at the front. This is where Benny looks for the hook. He gets it against Muradin again, but it doesn't connect.
That's not the one you want, man. Muradin being able to jump in, put a Stormbolt in a 5v4. The rest of the team can follow up with Johanna being in the bottom lane. Fnatic decides not to go full-on aggressive with that pick, but Bad Benny continues to keep looking for them. And he'll have hook up again soon here. And they may only have one more opportunity. They actually get the hook. It's going to be Ethereal here as he's going to pull Blaze on back. There's a Slowing Sands, and Fnatic will look to try and blow him up.
I would have kept him in that corner, to be honest. At this point, say, while Listen is there, Bunker is nearly down, but this is still no kill, and the turnaround is there. Down goes Deckard, and that might even be a double kill, and it is.
There goes two. Another hook comes out, but Shrimpy, he drops the Earthquake, and now Mane is suddenly in trouble as Bad Benny brings Thrall over to Chromie. Chromie able to get the turrets for safety, but Method, still having 5 here, are able to fight back.
It's just that follow-up on... The hook is a great tool, and it worked out several times. The problem is, there's two heroes that where you have a tough time getting value if you don't follow up the immediate stun of Johanna, and that's Blaze and Muradin. We've been going over this, and the only thing that Ethereal had to do is just spam that button, hit R, make sure that you survive, and buy time for the rest of the team. And then especially Deckard, once that estate while this is over, he's completely alone. He's just out there, and Method says thanks for the free kill.
And Method are thinking about taking some turrets as well as they poke down this bottom lane with 20 already being here. The control point under siege as they are sitting at 40%. They'll be able to finish that pretty soon. Fnatic will not be at level 20, and that should be a keep. And if Fnatic is not careful, it could be game. Method can move forward and go straight for the core.
Now, to be fair, Fnatic kind of had to go for that attempt at a kill because they were already far behind in experience, and Method was about to hit 20. So fighting over the objective itself, even though they got a lead, was not quite in their favor. So they probably felt, okay, we have to do something. Might have been, they try to get just close enough so that they can get the Blessed Shield stun in, but that didn't really work out. But that was the thought process behind it. It's like, guys, we have to commit to the kill. If we don't do that, they're going to get the Protector one way or another.
Now, as the Protector pushes the bottom lane, what do you think about this level 18 pickup here for Chromie? I was thinking a Doral Anomaly may have came line to help out with that control and slow down that Protector, but it seems like we're going for the Slowing Sands upgrade.
I mean, I kind of like it at this point. They're just trying to slow that down. I agree with you. They could have gone both ways here for sure. The thing is that at this point, they're really just like struggling for survival. And Mena has still not completed his quest on Chromie. He's trying, but here comes the engage. Timeout is in. Stay a while and listen. But Chromie gets blocked down by the Protector. And down she goes. Breeze is on the run, desperately trying to somehow stay alive. That's not happening. Down he goes. Double kill for Method as they are trying to finish the game.
They're trying to finish the game here. Nick was grabbed. He gets focused down. His Quackness goes straight for the kill, but Nick able to get that shield at the last second thanks to his Storm talent. All turn around and focus down on the core, and it's dropping. It's 40, it's 30, it's 20, it's 10. It's going to be another win for Method as they go up 2-0 over Fnatic.